Good evening and welcome to tonight's live stream. This is going to be a very good episode on ArmyReenlistment.com. One, happy Biggie Day to everybody, right? The greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. We all didn't recognize that. But tonight we have a special group of individuals here. Some of my favorite people that I know that are career counselors. They're going to come on here. We're going to talk about stuff that will help enhance your career. All right. So we're going to talk about awards that happen in your MOS. That you can take to advance and show that how great you are in your MOS. We're going to talk about the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club, and we're going to talk about the Sergeant Morales Club. Let me introduce everybody first. I'll introduce myself, Master Sergeant Tim Donahue. I know I've been gone a couple of times lately, but I'm back right now. And now let the team introduce themselves. Go ahead, Shantae.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another week. I'm Staff Sergeant Waterbury with the SFAC, and I'm so glad you guys are here.
Hey, I'm Sergeant First Class Sam Block with 82nd Sustainment. Glad you're here with us.
And I'm Sergeant AJ Sadler. I'm currently at the Recruiting and Retention College in the wonderful Fort Knox.
And then we have the founder, the Godfather himself, Matt.
I'm just a regular guy, Tim.
Just a regular guy.
Retired life now, so I'm trying to grow my beard. It's not working though, but hey,
keep trying. One day something will grow. Something will grow. All right. So if you see right now, we have a couple of guests up on the top row, and they're all wearing medals, right? So everyone's wearing a medal right now. Matt's got about 4 medals on. I got my medal.
Oh,
right?
Look at you, Tim.
Yeah, it's kind of fancy. It's the Pentagon, and this is what we call the Pionk Award. This is like the highest award you can get as a career counselor. And I thought that there would be nobody better than Sergeant Major retired Mark Thompson to give us a brief history about it, talk about the significance of it, and how people go about getting it. So, Mark, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Mark Thompson, retired from the Army last year. Very happy to be here. Tim, thank you very much for inviting me. Matt, this is a great platform, as always. And just seeing everybody on here, I think this is amazing. So the Pionk Award came about during a AUSA conference when recognition of the top recruiter of the year, top drill sergeant of the year, soldier of the year, NCO of the year, and then top career counselor of the year. The Army senior leadership gets on and they present them trophies or medals. And I was sitting there my first year in the position as a senior Army career counselor, and I was listening to the drill sergeant of the year was getting like the Bob Jones Award, whatever it was. The recruiter of the year got like the Tom Smith Award, and then like the career counselor of the year got a trophy, but there was no name associated with it. And when I retired, I had over 20 years in Army retention, and I knew the legacy that we had, that we should have had a medal or award or something tied to one of the godfathers of retention. And there was no one better that I could think of than Sergeant Major retired Jerome Pionk, who was named the Career Counselor of the Century when he retired in 2000. He held the highest position you could hold in retention for 8 years, from 1992 to 2000, and retired out of the position, became a government civilian employee, and still works in the Pentagon, still helps support not only recruiting and retention. So I submitted it to what I affectionately call the graybeards or the old people. Said, hey, I've got an idea. I think retention needs some kind of medal or recognition for accomplishments that career counselors do. Any problems with Jerome Pionk being the named person? He unanimously came back and said yes, and I reached out to his family, got their blessing. And then put Sean Holman, Toby Whitney. They really did the legwork on finding out what are the rules, what are the regulations, getting the legal review done. So this medal, the Sergeant Major Jerome Pionk Excellence in Retention Medal, is an honorary medal for the Army. It's not one you buy. It's paid for by the Army. It's paid for by taxpayer dollars. You have to. There's 2 ways to get it. You become the Secretary of the Army Career Counselor of the Year winner, or by pattern of excellence through a packet that is getting voted on by panel members. And that's found in DA PAM 601-280, Chapter 8. That's listed there in the Mill Suite site. You can pull that regulation out and you can and read it. Right now, to date, only 17 medals have been given away. 16 to military. The very first one was to the Pionk family. It was an amazing presentation ceremony that we had with, at the time. The Army G1 Lieutenant General Seaman presented the Pionk family the medal number 1, which really kind of solidified, their support behind the legacy of their family member for this. Pionk was not somebody anybody can ever emulate again. He grew up in the Army way back in the day, retired with 32 years in. He held a dual commission. He was a major in the Army Reserve and a sergeant major in the United States Army on the regular Army. He would legit go to ceremonies and training and, when the Class Bs and would take sergeant major rank off, put his major rank on and re-enlist people. How crazy is that, right? It's like, just flip it out, Could you imagine that nowadays?
That's unbelievable.
It's, field grade officer in the Army Reserve and then sergeant major in the regular Army. He did amazing things. He, even after he retired during the surge in 2008, his testimony to Congress was enabled to get $1 billion in recruiting and retention incentives to help bolster those efforts for the surge in 2008. So he continued to work and support, the retention program and then the soldiers and families and things like that. So it's still a fairly new medal. It wasn't approved until 2017. The first medals weren't given out until 2018. And again, there's only been 17 medals to date given away, or awarded, I should say. But the process it's a simple packet to put in, and then it goes up and gets voted on by position. There's 3 E9 79 Sierras, the Sergeant Major of the Retention and Classification Branch at HRC, the Director of the Retention College at Fort Knox, the Senior Army Career Counselor in the Pentagon, and then it's not just, this is not an MOS medal. Now, granted, it's awarded for lasting contributions in retention, but it's not specifically a 79 Sierra medal. In fact, the back of it has, the regular Army, Army National Guard, Army Reserve, and the Career Counselor badge on it. But it can also be given to officers and civilians. So we have the Chief of the Retention and Classification Branch, that's civilian position. He's a voting member. And then the Division Chief for Military Personnel Enlisted, who is actually in charge of Army retention, promotions, medical, reassignment, all those policies all fall underneath with that position. So we have an officer voting. Those 5 voting panel members recommend, and it goes to the Director of Military Personnel Management, 2-star general, for final approval. And I think it's a really good, fair process. We've had, again, 17 given away. We've had 3 denied, mainly due to write-up. There's no doubt that they were amazing individuals and they did great stuff in their careers. It's just the write-up to, you really have to sell yourself to ensure to get the medal, which is, well, you shouldn't be putting yourself in for the award. Somebody should nominate you for it. But but it's not, career counselors and retention, people who do stuff for retention are absolutely amazing. You are the pure definition of selfless service. And your role in doing something for retention is literally making sure somebody else's career is doing better than what they anticipated and setting them up for a pathway of success, whether that's for an assignment, whether that's for reclassification, or whatever the case may be. It is definitely something that should not be overlooked, and career counselors tend to not understand just how amazing they are and what they do, and it can be difficult to quantify it. But there's no doubt in my mind we should be giving away a lot more of these. We should get a lot more packets to get voted on, because there's just a phenomenal amount of people out there doing crazy stuff. So I cried like a grown ass man when I received my medal, just because I met Sergeant Major Pionk when I was a baby counselor, and know the legacy that it is, and it's for me it was a very big deal. I didn't get it until I retired, so I'll find some reason as a civilian to put on a suit and go to a ball or something. But yeah, I'd like to open up for questions.
So one of the questions that I saw was, why is the Pionk medal so big?
Because size matters.
That's the easiest way to say it.
No, it's when you get to the level of detail, and it is the Pentagon itself. There's a lot of fine detail in it, and then of course on the back, a smaller medal with all these different logos on it, you would get watered out. It wouldn't look as good. And so I think it was an appropriate size specifically for it. The ribbon is actually the state colors of South Dakota. Sergeant Major Pionk was from South Dakota. He's a published author. He actually wrote 3 different books, and one of them was Prairie Vignettes, which was him telling different stories about growing up in South Dakota. So, trying to figure out what color ribbon do you have on a medal, and that was actually some graybeards that were happened to be in the Pentagon as we were trying to figure out what ribbon. They're like, oh yeah, just do South Dakota. That's where he's from. He wouldn't shout about South Dakota. I talk about South Dakota all the time. So that made it very simple for us to do that. I was thinking maybe black and gray or whatever, for the kind of the career counselor colors, but this actually went up being very well.
So as you were sitting there as the 14th SAC, what were some of the accomplishments that some of the people, like maybe a Sergeant Major retired Matt Quick, might have gave to the retention field that he was awarded for?
Well, I mean, the platform we're on right now, right? Matt is obviously he's the godfather of ArmyRenlistment.com, which I'm sure he created in order for extra credit in some college class he was taking back in the day.
It's a big old nerd, Mark.
Yeah. But it's a platform that is lasting, and it's not him. I mean, you look at the crew that's part of this video conference. It's something that a lot of people have perpetuated the success of this platform, to be able to make sure that the information is getting out to the soldiers, to the families, so they can understand what's going on. Because retention is a complicated issue, and I think it's pretty awesome. Now, granted, I would always rip down ArmyRenlistment.com messages from retention boards from career counselors and make them print out the HRC messages, but that was just me.
When you got haters, Mark, you made it. That's what it was.
But it was always a prevalent thing. No matter where you were at, I used ArmyRenlistment.com all the time. Because that's where the links were to how to get to EDAX. And, when you were somewhere else, logging into the computer, I knew where to go to find the links, if nothing else, So I don't think there's a career counselor out there that doesn't use it, at least for that, along with everything else. But I do like the fact that it reaches out to everybody else. I think that there's maybe a misconception on what is a lasting contribution, The idea and the intent was for this medal not to be a retirement award, not to be something that nobody could accomplish. But it does need to be something special. It does need to be, you don't want every single career counselor to get it once they hit 12 months of probationary status. But again, highlighting, have you recommended people to go to the career counselor course? Have you, because that's perpetuating growth in the field. Have you instituted something unique at that organization for training, for ceremonies, or whatever? There's a lot of things that people do that they think is the norm, that they're just helping themselves out, helping their soldiers, their families out, and things like that. And they don't realize the impact that they have. It takes somebody else to look at it and go and say, like, that's actually that's pretty good. That's good. And then put them in for it.
I'm not gonna lie. I still am very humbled that I was rewarded this because, I mean, look at the four people on the screen right now that have it. I'm the least likely person to do it, right?
Tim,
Like,
don't be crying now, okay?
I cried earlier in therapy.
Okay.
Actually, I had my therapist cry. Like, I was like, "Yo, bro, come on, man."
The medal's big enough to hide your crying tears behind it. So you can
dab it with your.
Yeah, I could do that. But before we keep going, I want to give a little shout out. There's somebody that wanted to make sure they got on there. The little sack. Hey, big shout out to my guy Kyle. That's Sergeant Major Thompson's son. He is definitely Little Sack. Way back. Felice, you have been a model for our career field, and obviously you were able to get that award deservingly. So I watched the ceremony on Facebook Live, and for you to get Bo to talk about you like that, you already know that you reached somebody. And it's just amazing the fact that it's such a small fraternity, and that I'm humbled to be a part of. I mean, there's only been 17, even though there's 18 medals. There's only been 17 awarded, and it's something that I never thought. I mean, shit. I tell my See, I'm back at Eustis. I was a private here. I ran into a first sergeant here a couple of weeks ago. Was my first sergeant when I was here as a young soldier, and he told me, I ran into him at the shop at, and he looked at me, looked at my chest, looked at me again. He said, "Damn it, Donahue, I had one thing that I thought you were gonna do." I was like, "What's that? What's that, Top?" He's like, "I thought you would be dead, and now you probably gonna outrank me." I was like, "Oh, thanks, I guess." It's humble. I'm very humbled, and I appreciate you two, Matt and Mark. You guys are great mentors. Matt, even though you were overworking me sometimes, it's all right.
You needed guidance.
The amount of energy you have, I don't think anybody can say that you overwork.
It's impossible.
I agree. Will. I totally agree. I was surprised too. But Felice, what does the Pionk medal mean to you?
I was 100% caught by surprise that I actually got awarded the medal. Just like Sergeant Major Retired was talking about the accomplishments that you do every single day. It's just things that you do, and sometimes you never know what you're doing or the impact that you have on the field, but somebody is watching. So that somebody was Sergeant Major Beauregard, and she recommended me for the award. So forever grateful for it. Truly humbling experience, and just happy that I was awarded.
Yeah. Matt, I know you're smiling really from ear to ear right now. So I'll let you explain how it felt when you got awarded the medal. And what number were you?
So I'm not gonna flex, Tim. I got it early because I'm old. So really, when I got mine, the retirement was a surprise for me. But when I was awarded this, it was a surprise. So I'm not gonna say I cried, but inside of me it was crying a little bit. But I wasn't gonna show that. Now, if I did show it, Mark, I'm sorry. So when I got it, my thing was, my God, the things that we did for the last 15 years are paying off, and now I can hand this over and feel confident about it. So it wasn't about me or what I did, because my name was never on this website. I purposely kept it off there because I don't want people thinking that some staff sergeant or some sergeant first class is doing this website. I want to look and feel like a regular site. So the user experience for the soldiers and families, that was my target. But getting it, when I see people get it after me, I never want to think that they have to build some huge platform that's been around for 20 years. I don't want that. I want people to do the small things that make a lasting impact for years. And it's not going to be a huge thing. Tim, you did some great things for certifications. Mark did great things for the Army-wide. So we do these things not thinking that the reward's going to come, but when it does come, it is sweet. Now, I did wear mine 2 years ago in uniform. Mark, you got to shave and wear in uniform, man. I'm just saying.
I I gotta rewatch the uniform policy podcast. I think beards are coming back.
Oh, that's
So
yeah.
I'm gonna be on the small group. I'm gonna be in the small group. So I got you guys.
I think it should be a reenlistment incentive. You know, if you reenlist, you get to be part of the beard community.
I know SMA Grinson's watching this, or his people are, and that's a great idea, Mark. But Tim, so I know people out there watching and saying the Pionk this and all this, but we're going to get to the Audie Murphy. We're going to get to a lot of other ones. Just so you know, listen, these
humble flex.
So these aren't about flexing, Tim. So it's really about it's about talking about what MOSs provide certain award recognition, and these just happen to be the Major General Horatio Gates gold and bronze medal. I lost my silver. I lost to a bet. Maybe I'll get it back someday. I'm not sure. But just know that most MOSs have these things, and it really helps people out. Don't think about yourself when you submit. Think about people that would really impact from these. Those junior people, those junior soldiers, they'd really impact, including the officers too. The junior people, what they're doing every day is so important. So hang tight. We're going to get into Audie Murphy. We're going to get into the morales, all that good stuff. But hey, Tim, great job tonight. I appreciate this.
No problem. Hey, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. We're going to move on now. We're going to move to the Audie Murphy Club and Sergeant Morales. Mark, thank you once again. Matt, always thank you. I really appreciate everything.
Good to see you again, Mark. Gotta shave the word.
Good to see you. No, I'm not shaving.
All right.
Thanks.
So now I have two more sergeants that I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. So we have Master Sergeant Felice Hart, who is one of basically my sister. We've worked together for a long time. We're both instructors together. She is going to speak on the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club. And then we also have Sergeant First Class Nikki Palmer. She's going to speak on the Sergeant Morales Club. But first, Felice, before you start talking about the Audie Murphy Club, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
So good afternoon. It's actually evening where I am. I am currently the Senior Career Counselor for 2CR Regiment over here in Europe. So hello to everyone. That's about all I'm going to go into about myself, Tim.
Okay. All right. And then Nikki, give a brief intro on yourself, where you are, how long you've been in the Army, and how long and where you're at right now. Got to unmute. Sometimes the mute button, the mic comes out of nowhere. There you go.
I wasn't ready for that. Good evening, everybody. I'm Sergeant Nikki Palmer. So I've been in the Army about 10 years, almost 11 years. Currently at Triple Deuce, 10th Mountain Division, Fort Drum. Best place to go. I promise you it is amazing. Army's best kept secret. I said that about Irwin too, but I believe it on Drum as well.
I used to tell soldiers that too when I was stationed there.
It's not bad. But that's really all I got on me for now.
Okay. So we're going to start with Felice. Can you tell us about the Audie Murphy Club? Tell us a little bit about it, the background, the process, and what it means for a soldier to actually achieve it.
Absolutely. So if you do a little bit of research, you can Google basically the bio of Audie Murphy, but he was one of the most highly decorated soldiers of World War II. So that's the soldier aspect and what it stands for. The club began in 1986 at Fort Hood, and there was multiple steps in order for it to go Army-wide. It was created to develop, inspire, and motivate leaders. And it's one of those accomplishments that does not have bounds on your MOS. So any MOS can accomplish this goal if any soldier, and particularly I liked competing for this due to the fact that it wasn't one winner take all. It was like a personal accomplishment, and that accomplishment speaks volumes to who you are or how you conduct yourself as a non-commissioned officer. So I'll talk a little bit about the board process. So every single installation is going to vary when it comes to the board process. So if you're interested in becoming a member, the first thing I would do is figure out who your point of contact is for your local installation and get with them to start the process, i.e. studying, so you can start training up on whatever events that local installation has. There are two awarding bodies with FORSCOM and TRADOC. So the medal is different for each one, and also the bio. So that's why it's so important that you figure out what unit or what under your unit, like where the study.
If it's trade off or force comp, yeah. So you know which way to go. Got you.
And then of course there's going to be different requirements, and every installation has usually some type of regulation governing their Sergeant Audie Murphy Club. And then that board process, there could be any number of sergeants majors or command sergeant majors on that board. I've even seen master sergeants on that board, and all of them are voting members. When it comes to that board, if one of the members votes no, then you'll just start the process all over, depending on what your installation process is. So in order for you to pass that board, all of the board members have to vote unanimously in order for you to be accepted and awarded the award and membership into the club. There's also honorary membership, which me and Sergeant Palmer can talk about once she goes over the Sergeant Morales Club. But the benefits of being a member of the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club, one, it's like universal recognition of the leadership requirement model. So when you step into the room or somebody knows that you've accomplished this goal, they know the self-worth and the type of leader that you are emulating. Also, it enhances your skill set as a non-commissioned officer. So if you're in a low density MOS or there's some things that you know you don't deal with on a daily basis, this is one of those things that you can get after to do to increase your leadership ability as well as your skill set as a non-commissioned officer. And then also, it's being a part of an organization that's bigger than you. So you're giving back to soldiers, their families, and the community. There's so many volunteer opportunities. There's so many opportunities to expand upon your leadership once you're a member of this club. So that's all I have for right now.
I know how the process was watching you do it, because I'm not that's not really my lane. I'm not really I can't remember stuff like that. But talk about like how much you study, because I remember you just being in the book hardcore. Like we would go TDY and you would be studying instead of going out.
Absolutely. So during my TDYs, I would be in the room studying. My team actually helped me study. If we were sitting there doing lunch, they would just shoot random questions at me. I had the study guides all on my phone. I downloaded every single regulation and read every single regulation twice, in addition to going over all of those questions. So the studying portion for me was quite intense. And that is what is needed in order for you to, achieve that milestone.
How did it feel when they finally came and said that you were unanimously accepted?
That feeling was unreal. So my board appearance was really unique in that it was in Vegas and it was a week long and it was on the last day. So while everybody was partying it up, I was still locked in my room. I only left my room for food and that was it. So needless to say, it was an amazing experience for me personally when it came time, because I knew how much energy I had put into it. And then I also knew the effect of how it would impact those around me and how many opportunities I would have to lead and volunteer.
Absolutely. And I remember the volunteering stuff, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But Sergeant Palmer, so Sergeant Hart is a member of the SAMC. She's Sergeant Audie Murphy Club, and you are a member of the Sergeant Morales Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about the Sergeant Morales Club, the history of it, and what you did to be able to become a member of it.
So the Sergeant Morales Club is essentially the exact same thing. We do have a different bio. We go off of different traits in that aspect, but it's the Europe version of Audie Murphy. You have to get nominated by your leadership the same way. You have to go through your battalion and brigade boards. You have to eventually go to your division board, soldier tasks and lanes. They're both the same in the aspect of how can you take care of soldiers? They give you a situation. What would you do? You have to understand the regulations and your left and right limitations with how you would solve that situation. So essentially the same process. I got mine when I was in Kosovo. I was actually on a deployment, a 1-year deployment to Kosovo, and I had no idea what it was. This was back in like 2015. But what I did hear about it was the same thing that Master Sergeant Harp had said, is that you're a part of something bigger than yourself. You're a part of something to help soldiers around you, families, the community, and I really liked that. I liked knowing that there was a group of peers and leaders that wanted to just be better, and the studying never ends. And it keeps going because you have to once you get in, you have to work on mentoring other people into the chapter as well.
I mean, that mentoring never stops. As a leader, that's a great example of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring both of y'all, and we're going to start asking questions. A couple of questions have already popped up. Let's see. Got a question from Joel Nunez. Do you know the requirement, when the requirements for SAMC will be standardized across the Army, or when the information about the standardization will be released?
I do not know the answer to that question, so I can't answer that one. It's
That was a good board answer.
But there are some reasons as to why it has not been standardized across the Army.
That's a good board answer. I would have gave you a go. Shantae Waterbury asked a question. Can any MOS apply for the Sergeant Morales Club, Sergeant Palmer?
Yes, same way as Audie Murphy. Anybody can apply for it. It's MOS immaterial.
Okay. Both of y'all said something about volunteering. Is that a big part of the club? Being a part of the club is volunteering? How about each of you take a chance and tell us a little bit about the volunteering and stuff that goes into the club does for the impact of the communities around where they are? So
I'll go first. Usually when it comes to volunteering, the club offers so many opportunities, whether it's like high schools, they're just offered all of the local volunteer opportunities first. And then some of them actually ask for the Audie Murphy members by name due to, maybe being in uniform or whatever the case may be. So there's always people looking for that leadership aspect when they're looking for those volunteers. And they know that the club is one of their go-tos. They will always be able to get volunteers from that organization.
Okay. Sergeant Palmer?
So same thing. And my disclaimer here is that I have served with the Audie Murphy Club chapters my last 3 duty stations because you only spend so much time overseas. So a lot of my answers are going to mirror Mass Armed Harps because I have you can be an honorary member. So if you get your Sergeant Morales in Europe, you can be an honorary member in the Audie Murphy chapters while you're stateside. Because once you get your medallion, the volunteering doesn't stop just because you're not in that part of the world with that specific organization. So the last 3 duty stations, I've actually sat on council positions for the Audie Murphy Club chapters. So the volunteering is the same. So right now I'm the vice president of the Fort Drum chapter. And same thing, we get asked, we're first in line to get asked to help with local food drives, with local color guards. We like to do we do something simple too, the highway cleanup, just to clean up and make our area look better and show that that's something we like to do. Ceremony help. So anything that either personal outside of Fort Drum or on Fort Drum, we get asked to help, and we're there for anything.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Volunteering is always a good thing. So Palmer, how has this impacted being a member of the Sergeant Morales Club impacted you personally in your career? Did it make you strive to do more, or what did it do for you?
It opened up doors that I never thought could open. I don't know where I would be in my career if it wasn't for the Sergeant Morales Club and the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club. This is what is really broadened. So one, it forced me to continue studying. I'm always in the regulations, learning how to take care of soldiers in different scenarios. 2, I'm around a group of people that make me want to be better. I'm always trying to be on the same level as them, and that level is always going higher and higher and higher.
Gotcha.
So, and I constantly get to be around leadership where I'm in a learning environment all times. You're always talking to senior leadership, being asked to volunteer at different things. So it's made me who I am today. I think it's fully made me a good leader. Okay,
that's good. I mean, I can only imagine. I'm not built for those things myself, but yeah, you NCOs are amazing. Sergeant Hart, what about you? What did it do for you?
For me personally, it's one is open up the door to service soldiers in a different capacity from being a career counselor, number 1, and the community and their families as well in that different role. And then number 2, when it comes to like maybe doors that it's open, I don't know, just like Sergeant Palmer was saying, just the constant number one, mentorship of other soldiers who are looking to become members, mentorship of soldiers that aren't looking to become members either. They just come to you and ask you for mentorship on any and everything, because they know if you're a member of that club that you have studied and researched any and everything that has to do with the Army, period. And that's really about it. So that's it.
So let's say Private Donahue or Sergeant E5 type Donahue wants to become a member of the Sergeant Morales Club or SAMC, the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club. How do I find the local representative? Is it like a place that I could go to?
So usually each club will have at least at the minimum a Facebook page, or if you go on your installations page, there should be a tab on your installation page that'll link to the Sergeant Audie Murphy or the Sergeant Morales Club, one or the other.
Okay.
Depending on your location.
Okay. Has to your knowledge, has COVID actually impacted the way that the SAMC process and the Sergeant Morales Club process has gone on? And if so, can you explain about that?
So based off of what I've seen so far, COVID has affected it, but it hasn't stopped the membership. So what'll happen is either the boards will be virtual or they'll just take COVID precautions when dealing with the events. And some of the events have been altered a little bit in order to still ensure that that NCO is qualified in whatever task that they're trying to accomplish, but to make sure that COVID requirements are still being, honored.
Okay. So, Palmer, you said you're the vice president of the Fort Drum chapter?
I am, yes.
Now, so what are some of the things that go into being the vice president of the Fort Drum chapter of the Audie Murphy Club?
Everything. No, it's a great position. And actually, so our president, he got deployed this whole past year, so I had to cover down for him as well. It's tough because you're the one that's trying to do all of the organizing for all the different events. We completely revamped the way we did our board processes because of COVID, and that took a lot of work and strategizing. The way we did our induction ceremonies, so you really get to see the work behind the scenes on the council members as well.
Okay.
They put a lot of work in to make these volunteer events happen.
Okay. We got a question from Joel Nunez. He says, how often are boards being conducted? Is it different at each installation?
So I can go ahead and answer, or you can answer that.
Nope, you got it.
Y'all can both answer.
So the boards are being conducted. It's going to be a local guidance. Sometimes I see semi-annual, sometimes I see quarterly. So based off of your location, there will be a MOI published, and you should know throughout for the whole FY how many boards are going to be conducted.
Sergeant Palmer, is it the same thing at Drum?
Same thing. We try to do quarterly.
Okay.
But drum's a beast. So we have to work around JRTC deployment,
NTC,
COVID, NTC, so Mountain Peak.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
So our goal is quarterly.
I got you. Hey, to the audience, if you are a member of either the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club or the Sergeant Morales Club, why don't you just write something in the chat so I know that we're just talking to people. But we do got another question. This one's from Woody Woodside. You've talked about the different events when boarding. What are some examples of those events?
I've heard, of course, qualifying, APFT, ACFT. I've seen obstacle courses included in there. I've seen written tests. I've seen essays. Sergeant Palmer, have you seen anything other than those before?
So our last board, it got very interesting, but it was fantastic. So our last board we started at about 05:30. They did a welcome brief from the president of the board or the DCSM, and then they took off on a 4-mile ruck march. And then at the end of the ruck march, they went straight into an ACFT, still in uniform. And of course on Drum, it was raining because it's Drum. So they did their ACFT. We drove them to the range where they conducted a range. Then we drove them back to our headquarters. They did a written exam. And then we went into a mystery event. The mystery event on this one, and it changes every quarter. So I could share it and it's not, but we change it that way. We keep people, because the whole point is for the surprise. We want to see how you react under stress. So this last one, they dropped off their uniforms or the ASUs in the beginning of the morning. And one of our members was our old guard member. So he took everything off the jacket or the blouse, and 15 minutes before the board, they had to put everything back together.
Was this old guard member somebody who was missing part of his thumb?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I kind of know who it is. I know who it is. But that's pretty. That would I am not a uniform person. That would definitely freak me out. We got a question from Kristen Wisner. What was the hardest part of the board for each of you?
So for me personally, for some it probably isn't, but it was the APFT. I was a previous permanent profile and got off that permanent profile. So for me, working from 0 to up to that APFT point for me was actually the hardest. For some, that's probably a breeze.
No, I could speak to that because I saw how hard you worked to get off of your permanent profile so that you could get to that level, and that was an inspiration. I mean, I wasn't going to get off my permanent profile, but it was an inspiration to others. Now, how about you, Sam Palmer?
So mine was actually complete opposite. The physical portion was easy, but I was deployed, even though I was in a peacekeeping operation at the time, but still we had something we had to go do every single day. So finding that time to go study after missions were complete was really hard. And then lack of internet. So the studying and then going in and answering with enough knowledge base and feeling confident that I had studied enough was the toughest part for me.
Okay, yeah, that's something that I saw from lots of people that have done it. Sergeant Hart, when I watched her do it, Sergeant Sullivan in the schoolhouse, I seen how hard it was just to find time to be able to find that time to study and to do it in when you're doing other things. So you got your full-time job, you're doing like you're on a peacekeeping mission over in Kosovo, you're doing your shift and you're still finding the time to study. That's amazing. That's something that a lot of people don't have the fortitude to do. I probably wouldn't be that person. I probably try to get sleep. That's what I try to do as much as possible, is try to get sleep. We had a comment, says Shantae Waterbury says Palmer's a PT studette. I don't know what a studette is, but okay, yeah, sounds good. No, we really appreciate it, Sergeant Palmer. You didn't show off the Morales medal though. You got to show us what it looks like. And then Sergeant Hart, I need you. Yeah, explain it to us. Explain the medal to us.
Huge. It's huge. Yeah. I get people ask me questions every time we're doing something for the Audie Murphy Club because the size difference is ridiculous. But you can see on the front, it's just Sergeant Morales Club. The motto "Be No Do" is right here, and then the back is just United States Army Europe non-commissioned officer. So hopefully.
Yeah, that thing is huge. Like somebody overcompensated when they made that medal. But it's okay. I understand. And Sergeant Hart, how about you tell us about the Audie Murphy, since you dual medal in it? You might.
Mine is the TRADOC version. So as you can see, infantry blue, and then the size and the diameter is going to be different from Force Com to TRADOC. And then also the back is different. So as you can see.
Is TRADOC's bigger or smaller than Force Comms?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Not gonna lie to you.
I'm guessing that TRADOC's probably bigger because TRADOC ain't got nothing else to do but just make stuff bigger. I understand.
Other one.
Yeah, you have the other one too. So yep. I had that one. I don't have the other ones like you guys got, but I definitely had that one. Still sometimes shocks me that we could do that. But no, any words of advice that you would give to people that would like to do that, to join it?
If you want to do it, just dedicate yourself to it. If you don't make it the first time, go back. There's plenty of people. I've heard people going back 5-6 times. If you don't make it, go back. Don't let all that studying go to waste. Set that goal for yourself and make sure you accomplish that goal.
So I would say the same thing. Just keep going. If you decide you want to do this, you just have to go for it. This is going to take your personal time. This is going to be your life for those months that you're studying, but you just have to dig deep, find a way to do it, because it's the light at the end of the tunnel is so worth it. You will come out so proud of what you accomplished for yourself. You'll come out a better non-commissioned officer. You'll come out with a whole group of people that have your back for the rest of your career. But it takes everything within. It takes your time because you still have to do your job. And we're talking a lot of senior non-commissioned officers like to go for this. Sergeants E5, they're busy too. Sometimes they're busier than the seniors. And you have to find time to get work done, find time to study, find time to get physically ready, prepare for the soldier lanes and tasks. It is a lot, but the reward is worth it at the end. And it's normal to have to go more than once. So a lot of people beat themselves up if they don't make it that first time and we don't see them back. But once you've already gone in, you know what to expect. You've been there, you've done it, you know exactly what you have to get ready for. So why not go back? Why not go back and then help the other people studying along the way as well? And then you can all get it together.
Most definitely. That's the biggest part. That's the best part of being an NCO, is making sure that everybody behind you that you're leading goes better than you. I tell my counselors every day, I don't want you to be as good as me. I want you to be better than me. And every day they show me that they're way better than I ever was. We do got one more question, and then I'm gonna let y'all do shout outs. Joel Nunez asks, can counselors that are interested in competing reach out to you guys for information and guidance?
Absolutely. I think I'm the only Felice Harp in Global, so if you already reached out to me previously, I will overload your inbox with study material, and we will, if you want to study, I will study with you, but don't come over here if you're not ready. If you are not ready, don't come over here.
And for that question, can counselors should absolutely go for this, because a counselor's number one job is taking care of soldiers. That is what these clubs and these chapters are about, taking care of soldiers. So absolutely.
All right. So what we like to do, like the way we like to end it around here, is we like to give shout outs. You give a shout out to anybody. We usually give it out to counselors. So we're gonna start with Mark. Do you want to give a shout out?
I'll actually give a shout out to every single career counselor we've got in the Army. Literally, you've got the badge. You're kicking ass. You're doing awesome, and that is the best career field in the Army, is being a career counselor. There's nothing that epitomizes an NCO more than what you do as a career counselor. So if you're a re-enlistment NCO trying to become a retention NCO, trying to become a career counselor, you're on the right track, so long as you truly want to help other people out. So it's shout out to all y'all.
To all 79 series. All y'all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sergeant Palmer, you want to give a shout out to anybody special?
So I actually want to shout out Sergeant First Class Morgan. He was in Triple Deuce, and I took over his program so he could become the cab senior. And he actually received his nomination to be inducted into the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club while he was deployed in Afghanistan. We just did our induction ceremony last week, and he could not be a part of it and get his medallion because of COVID and quarantine and restriction of movements. So I want to give a shout out to him, because I walked into a great program. I can still call him to this day if I need anything. And I think that's amazing that he didn't just, go and take over his own program, forget this one. I can call him to this day and he would answer his phone. And he did. He went and he got his Audie Murphy Club. So.
That's awesome. Sergeant Hart?
My shout out is to my current team. Go y'all for being amazing, because I know y'all gonna watch this, because that's what y'all do. And continue to keep people in.
AJ, who you shouting out today?
I got a couple. I got Sergeant Drayton, Sergeant Cruz out of Fort Drum, and Taisha Grant here at Fort Knox, and then my boy Quan Burns. Great counselors. They've been helping me keep my head up for the last 6 years. So I'd like to get a shout out to it.
Okay. Sam Block, who you got today, Sam?
Sorry, I couldn't figure out my mic for a minute. So I wanted to shout out the retiring senior for sustainment, Master Sergeant Frazier. She's given 26, it'll be 26 when she retires, years to the career counselor field. Well, most of them have been. She's been a counselor since 2004, so I want to give a shout out to her, and wish her well. She's still left seat, right seating with me, but wish her well on everything. So, and thank her for all her help since I've been at sustainment.
Thank you, Sam. Shantae, who in SFAC are you gonna shout out this week?
No SFAC this week. But I was reading my message. Someone told me to shout out to the 14th SAC. They said you will always be our senior Army career counselor. So shout out to you. And I also want to shout out two other individuals. I'm not sure where they are, so don't let me lie. But Francis Kurt and Isaac Vasquez, I am full-time in college at night, and let's just say this third year of Spanish has been kicking my butt. So shout out to them because they helped me throughout this course, and we finished with the A. So thank you guys.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you guys all for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. We had a great time with great people. Tune in next week and we'll have another great live stream. All right. And that's all we got. Y'all have a good night.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.